Well, hello, that's me again. Today is November 22, 2024. It is Friday. Thank God it's Friday, and my congratulations to all of you with Friday. And let's start with the incredible, stunning revelations of what you just saw in the beginning, those videos which are now have been shown all around the world, literally. But what can I say? Yeah, you know what? It's difficult for me to really, even comment on this, but evidently the U.S. military and Pentagon officials, they know better because they lost all their wars. But here it is. As you can see yourself, new Russian missile used against Ukraine is not hypersonic, defense officials say. Pentagon spokesperson, however, Mrs. Singh, says the missile was a new type of lethal capability launched on the battlefield for the first time. This is a schizophrenic, basically, title or headline, and I would say that well, those officials from Pentagon, they most likely political science majors, and they didn't study physics and simplest, mechanics. But what can I say? It's a classic example of the butt hurt and being a sore loser, which we saw in unfolding for the last 1,000 days of the special military operation, and it goes from all corners of the Western world, and especially Western militaries, which most of them, if we go and look attentively at George Galloway, he correctly identified them as, with my also own, very favorable, let's say, favorite term, which we know as the barking chihuahuas. And George is correct. And listen, do not forget, George is not just the superb political commentator with a classic British wit, for which, for example, Russians always loved England, apart from Beatles and other things, and Benny Hill, obviously. But George is also a member of parliament, so when he says barking chihuahuas, he knows things. He's British, unlike me, I'm Russian, so he knows more about United Kingdom than me. But all jokes aside, what have happened with the demolition of the primarily underground facilities of the Yuzhmash, former main producer, manufacturer of the Russian or Soviet strategic missile system, including this scary Satan, RS-28, no, RS-26, I don't remember, you will correct me, I'm lost completely with those RSs, if you wish, but Voivode, known as the Satan 1, with obviously the newest iteration of the Sarmat being RS-28 being the Satan 2, is the fact that, there are many facilities, including which have been used by Western advisors and by whatever Ukrainian remnants of the industry, have been penetrated by those hypersonic blocks. But let's start and talk about what everybody probably expects from you or anticipates that I will comment on things. First, I want to immediately, before I comment on that, is say, what you saw, it's not intercontinental ballistic missile. Anybody who says that it's ICBM, they know nothing about literally intercontinental ballistic missiles. This is merely what is called, intermediate range missile. But what type of the missile? Anybody who says that it is Rubesh or any kind of the previous Soviet programs, here comes the, from the boss, big boss himself, okay? And let's take a look attentively. I deliberately took it from the respectable, reputable Russian media who report properly. So let's go to the RIA News and see what Mr. Putin today stated. He held a meeting with the leaders of the Ministry of Defense, and he explained they were discussing the issue of what is known as Oreshnik. People say it's Hazel. In reality, it's not Hazel. The full name is Hazel Grove. Oreshnik is a grove. And then, of course, the Hazel is Hazel, all right? So, and he's talking about that the results achieved and the speed of the development of the Hazel missile caused pride and admiration. But look what he says immediately when talking about it with the chiefs of the Russian Ministry of Defense and, of course, with people who developed all those weapon systems. Here it is. The Oreshnik missiles are not a modernization of all Soviet systems. They are the result of the work of current specialists. This is brand new missile. It is brand new weapon system. What kind of weapon system? I don't know. Nobody will tell you, including Putin. Mr. Putin obviously discussed this thing, after the open part of the meeting was concluded. After that, the doors are closed. All media are kicked out and they begin to talk, basically shop. What Mr. Putin continued to say is this. He also stated, when he says that Oreshnik system will be put into service with the missile forces, that means what? It's already in. It's essentially, this is how Russians operate. You remember, everybody thought that during his speech on the March 3rd of 2018, when he announced those weapons, hypersonic weapons, Kinzhal was already on the test, basically service for almost half a year. So he already stated the decision on the serial production of this weapons has been made and practically organized. That means, basically this is the euphemism for that the weapon system is in the serial production. And then, of course, he comes to the most important part. He says, Hazelnut or Hazel Grove is not considered a means of mass destruction. So that means, while it definitely can carry, as any kind of the Russian-made hypersonic weapon system, some kind of the nuclear charge, it's primarily designed for what you've seen on the Dnepropetrovsk and basically demolition of the Yuzhmash. In fact, as he said, the Oreshnik system is not a strategic weapon. In any case, it is not an intercontinental ballistic missile, it is not a means of mass destruction, including because it is also a high-precision weapon. You saw yourself the distribution in the beginning of it, of the hits basically on the Yuzhmash, rather penetration into the underground facilities. Yeah, it is high-precision system, such as, for example, Kinzhal or Zircon. It's just that, of course, the range of the system is within the parameters of the intermediate range missiles. How it flies, nobody knows. I suspect that the missile which is used there, some kind of the booster, allows the development of the trajectory in the suppressed, so to speak, ballistic mode, and then it releases the bus, and after that you have all those hypersonic blocks which are probably and highly likely maneuverable, and you saw yourself what happens. And so he says correctly, there is no counteraction, the counter to the Hazel system today. Its test will continue as it is with every single system which if people think that, for example, they fly on A321 aircraft by Airbus and it's done once it starts is produced, no, those aircraft continue to be tested throughout the life of the basically class of the piece of technology. So the same goes for all other missiles. That is why you have constantly updates and all different upgrades of the systems, because they're being tested constantly. In Russia, he talks that is the big one. There are several systems similar to Oreshnik. Now they are also being tested. So, interesting, right? Now, to immediately kind of remove any kind of the issues pertaining to intercontinental mode, theoretically it can become intercontinental if we take as correct, which probably is the case, its range of is about 5,000 kilometers, then, well, let me show you something. If this system is placed somewhere in Chukotka Peninsula, it is a mobile system, we know this. We know that it is also much lighter than, for example, the famous Yars missiles, which are also mobile, but they are intercontinental ballistic missiles, capable also carrying the hypersonic blocks. But here it is. You can put it in Chukotka and look at this. At 5,000 kilometers, this is what it gets you. Essentially, these systems will cover all position, for example, North and South Dakota. you know what, make your Wyoming. It's all about those, you know, U.S. Intercontinental Ballistic Missiles, Minuteman III. Those things easily reach there, and because they're high precision, they are counter-force weapons. And again, as already have been stated many times throughout the years, I wrote 4 books about on it. That type of the weapon, even without nuclear charge, represents a dramatic strategic effect once it hits, well, like it happened actually in Dnepropetrovsk, and of course it has been heard around the world. But what many people have to keep in mind when we talk about all that, you remember last video I spoke about it, and many people, well, obviously trolls, all kinds of the you know, Ukrainians, you know, who do it for free, and of course those who do not do it for free and who try to sabotage all kinds of the discussion boards and write all kinds of nasty comments. The point is that actually it all coincided, as already stated, with the update of Russian nuclear doctrine, which I stated it's not about lowering, it's about basically establishing the ceiling. But with the establishing of the ceiling on for the use of the nuclear weapons, Russia officially named United States as the party to the war. Period. It doesn't matter how many of those mama's boys from Biden administration, because spoiled, you know, they think that, you know what, we are such cool kids, we, you know, graduated Ivy League, you know what, degree meal. They think that if they say that United States is, well, basically not, they say that the United States is not at war, that it stops being at war with Russia. No, it doesn't work like this. Russia identifies United States as the party to war in Ukraine. So goes for basically United Kingdom. So goes for the rest of them. So goes for France. And Oreshnik was merely demonstration, as Mr. Putin stated, next salvo of anything long range, well, which is really pathetic, but still relatively long range, of Scalp, Storm Shadow, or ATACMS on Russian territory. Well, I can tell you immediately, there are a number of the list of the targets, which are possible targets, and Mr. Putin already stated. We can say that it could be Radzikovo in Poland, it could be Defenseless in Romania. It's definitely on the list, and they will have about 30 minutes. Because that's what it takes. I mean, Russians usually, the line on the informing each other, it's some kind of electronic device, so don't ask me how it works. I'm not interested anyway. You have about 30 minutes. So, and then suddenly there is a panic in Kiev. There is a panic. Rather, suddenly canceled its meeting. I don't know why. I mean, Russians could have done and killed them all, you know, in 2022 easily. It doesn't take, you know, much. The only thing is when, for example, Russian aircraft which carry Kinzhal hypersonic weapons basically start, then yeah, United States can warn them. But the point is, now when you have this weapon system, I mean, yeah, sure, you can basically, as I already stated, flatten the center of Kiev and killing everything, whatever will be there. After the 30-minute warning. The same goes, for example, for the US installations, and that will be pretty much along the same lines as Iran did. They will be told to get the hell out of there, and they have 30 minutes. If you didn't make it, well, too bad, your problems. And after that, Russia can demonstratively, you know, demolish one of the, you know, U.S. military bases in Middle East, or just wipe out the, you know, for example, Akrority Royal Air Force base in Cyprus. So yeah, there are plenty of targets which Russia can hit, and nothing they can do about it, as Mr. Putin correctly states, and I stated for years now, there is no means in the West which can stop it, period. But then again, I repeated ad nauseam, and people didn't believe, but, well, they kind of beginning to come around that United States lost the arms race. I'm sorry, guys, it's just the way it is. There's not single weapon system which compares with what Russia uses, starting from the minimal tactical level of, let's say, platoon and company, and ending up with the strategic systems and the delivery systems. United States is not even in the same league. And so if you think so that this is like all that simple, well, let me put it this way. That is just the thing which I need to stress again when repeating that Putin outlines Moscow response to Ukraine escalation. Here's the full speech which was given by Mr. Putin before he met actually the officials from the Ministry of Defense. And look at this. Here is what is the critical. That's what I'm talking about. And here, this is his quotes. We believe that the United States made a mistake by unilaterally destroying the INF Treaty in 2019 under far-fetched pretext. Yes, Mr. Trump did it because somebody, bunch of the nincompoops from the so-called American expert community, they believe that United States is so cool that, yeah, it's just literally leads everything in the world. And everybody are nowhere near that. Well, that's turned out to be completely opposite. And they told them, okay, let's destroy INF intermediate weapons. Well, they did, and here we are today. So, then, of course, to reiterate, we are conducting combat tests of Oreshnik missile system in response to NATO aggressive actions against Russia. Our decision on further deployment of intermediate range and shorter range missiles will depend on actions of the United States and its satellites. You see, no Ukraine. Ukraine is irrelevant in this. And here is the issue. We will determine the targets during further tests of our advanced missile systems based on the threats to the security of Russian Federation. We consider ourselves entitled to use our weapons against military facilities of those countries that allow to use their weapons against our facilities. And in case of an escalation of aggressive actions, we will respond decisively and in mirror-like manner. I recommend that the ruling elites of the countries that are hatching plans to use their military contingents against Russia seriously consider this. And you know what, I already stated in the last video, the special military operation is over. It is the war now. And this is now the ball in the corner of the United States, and then we'll see if the United States and the chihuahuas, barking chihuahuas like UK or France, they're not even serious powers. They are just pathetic countries which are rolling down the hill and becoming the third world crap holes. But I mean, the point is, it's between Russia and NATO directly. And as I already stated, the first sign that the proxy war is over was the update of the Russian nuclear doctrine. But Russia, as I repeat, since, I don't know, I mean, a decade, since 2014, Russia has enough conventional wherewithal to basically decompose NATO completely, including US proper, US territory. Many people do not understand United States is defenseless because basically they're, well, how to put it politely, let me send you to a wonderful piece by Larry Johnson, friend, Helmholtz Smith, where he speaks about this. And he makes it very clear that United States evidently doesn't understand yet. It's an advice for President Trump on Ukraine, and he wrote this wonderful piece. One of the best, actually, political writing pieces I encountered in a long time. And he obviously starts with classic John Quincy Adams, that America goes not abroad in search of the monsters to destroy. For starters, and that's what Mr. Smith says, which I am on record and I understand, it hurts very many people's egos, especially with epaulets in the United States. But United States winning war record is dismal. United States goes abroad to lose wars. It cannot fight them. And the reason it cannot fight them because it doesn't have proper table of organization and equipment and doesn't have proper military culture. And that is in the foundation of the United States losing the arms race. And it's lost not just slightly. It is by knockout. And, well, as Mr. Putin says, yeah, they work on some kind of systems. Here's the issue. Unlike the United States, Russia has already the set of the anti-hypersonic weapons, starting from even S-400 can intercept hypersonic weapons, but we are looking at the serial production, of course, of the monstrous systems such as S-300V4, S-500, S-550, and then who knows what other laser weapons and new iterations of the Peresvet laser weapons are coming online. And that's pretty much underscores the thing about all those people from the morons from the with the degree meals from Ivy League who are absolutely incompetent, who really believed that, you know what, Russian economy is the size of Spain. Well, Spain is dwarfed by Russian economy, not to speak about technological expertise. And they always ask this thing which many people do not understand. For example, if you take the guy from some professor from whatever, Yale, Princeton, of economics, you know, who teaches monetary theory, and you will ask him how, for example, space program relates to the size of economy, they will not be able to understand this because they are humanities educated nincompoops. They do not understand how, computer numerical control rigs work, what metrology is. They don't understand those things. They are not taught. And fact is, I believe they are not taught even from the ROTCs and officer candidate schools in the United States anymore. Because when you look at the crop of the U.S. generals, it is downright pathetic. You look at the General Keane or Kellogg or whatever, let alone this guy, here it is. You think so? If that hasn't been enough about humiliation, well, here it is. You have the Mr. Rob McGowan, UK Army chief. We are ready to fight Putin in Eastern Europe. If the British Army was asked to fight tonight, it would fight tonight. Well, sure, Mr. McGowan. First, as I already stated, British military education is a joke, as it is pretty much now in the whole Western world. It produces not officers who are required for the modern warfare. And secondly, what he is going to fight Russians with? I mean, 20 people or whatever, the one brigade? Let me put him into some basically perspective. If we started talking about it, that, let's go to the Armed Forces of Ukraine losses. And by the way, I can tell you, even today, the Armed Forces of Ukraine, while still being disassembled and being annihilated, they are much stronger than the United Kingdom Army, or whatever it passes there for the, quoting Mr. McGregor, Lilliputian force, which is not real armed forces. This is absolutely impotent bunch, including all those people with all those Sir and Order of British Empire, prefixes, who absolutely will not pass entrance exams into any serious Russian military academy. But hey, there they are. They run this British military. Well, let me show you what would have happened to British, whatever the brigade or couple regiments they will be able to provide in the eastern Ukraine. So here it is. It's for today. As you can see yourself, we have below 2,000. For the first time in a very long while. And I will explain to you why, because they are running now, a lot of running. And when you run, your chances of survival still increased relative if you're sitting in some trenches or some dugout and you expect Russian drones to get you. But there is one important thing. Why, for example, SAM, which is surface-to-air missile systems, are underlined and highlighted in yellow. Look attentively. Throughout the total special military operations, Russians destroyed 587 air defense complexes. But, which is a stunning amount. I mean, NATO combined cannot produce that in any kind of the reasonable term. But look at this. From the 1st of January of this year, 142 air defense missile complexes has been annihilated. Why it is so important? Why I specifically concentrate on that? Very simple. If throughout 2022 and to start of the 2023, Ukraine still had majority of the Soviet and era air defense complexes, such as earlier versions of S-300s, Buk M1s, and things like that, then already starting from the beginning of this year, these 142 complexes, majority of them are of the Western production, be them NASAMS, be them Patriot PAC-3, be them whatever they were stuffing Ukraine with. As you can see yourself, they are no match for the modern long-range standoff weapons of Russia. They are being annihilated. The moment they turn on something, like radar or any kind of the emission, and well, they are dead. And this just shows you that if Mr. whatever his McGowan wants to bring his troops to Ukraine to fight Russians, well, good luck with that. They will not last for a couple of weeks. And yeah, what can I say? It's a comedy. They are butthurt. They know what is happening. And it's all obviously connected to the also issue of Mr. Biden and his bunch of his minions trying to get elicit any kind of response from Russia to declare probably the state of war in the United States and to start actually to stave off any possibility of Mr. Trump basically arriving to the White House on the January 20th. And then considering who is coming as the new appointment for Attorney General, my God, these people, they better, yeah, they know what is expecting them. And well, but still, we are still far away. And as you can see yourself, that those elites in Washington, they don't care about Americans. They don't care about country. They care about only their pockets, their egos, and they want power. That's the only thing they want. But of course, at some point of time, this mafia by Obama and Hillary, and it has to be disassembled. Will the United States be able to do that? I don't know. But just, things are happening such a way that nothing can be stopped. History is on the march. And if we go, for example, take a look at how the United States tries to deal with competition, here it is. That's, there you go. Treasury sanctions, Gazprom Bank. And look at this. Treasury imposes sanctions on dozens of Russian banks, securities registrars, and financial officials. Issues alert warning of risk of joining Russia's system for transfer of financial messages. Essentially, United States blackmails everybody else if they join Russia's alternative to SWIFT, which is already in place and works. Well, but then again, let me put it this way. I specifically took it from TASS. Look at this. Yesterday, and this is schizophrenic politics. This shows you to what degree of panic, complete confusion, and essentially, yeah, well, what can I say? It's complete decomposition of the American elites. The Pentagon said that the United States does not seek a conflict with Russia. Well, it doesn't matter now what Pentagon says. The United States is designated as the party to war. Period. It doesn't matter. Read my lips. And that's the point. They wanted it, they got it. So now it's going to be strikes on America and American interests. And that's what Russia stated. Russians had enough. And so we have this thing. Deputy spokeswoman for U.S. Department of Defense, Sabrina Singh, said in the briefing that the United States does not seek conflict with Russia, but will continue to provide military assistance to Ukraine. Sure. We do not seek war with Russia, but you will certainly see that like-minded U.S. partners will support Ukraine together. Sure, they can continue to support Ukraine together, whatever they want. It doesn't matter. They lost the war, and Russia is just finishing up their intensive combat operations, because obviously, as I already stated, armed forces of Ukraine in complete disarray. And I'm not going to go into the maps, you can see yourself, and including by our good friend Marat Khairulin. But the point is, it's not about United States not seeking conflict with or war with Russia. First, United States cannot conduct war against Russia. It will be utterly demolished in a conventional way. But the point is that you have to go to Larry and read the basically piece by Helmholtz Smith. It's a magnificent piece of the political advice and political observation. And yeah, United States is not as strong as it always thought it was. It never was, but now it's just big power. It's similar to different kinds of large powers. The only thing what the United States has is the increasingly obsolete nuclear deterrent, and that's about it. The rest of the services of the United States, they are boutique, they are obsolete, from Navy to the Air Force, especially with the F-35. Oh my God. So they are not capable to fight modern war. And that's the, basically situation, right? And that's what you saw in the beginning. That's pretty much one of the demonstrations. And yeah, how can I put it? I mean, just read this wonderful piece at Larry Johnson's blog, and that will be it. You will understand very many things because it's very succinct. It's very to the point. And so this is everything I needed to tell you today. And as always, in conclusion, guys, first I need to profoundly, thank my wonderful sponsors and my wonderful patrons who allow me to keep doing what I'm doing. And as always, in the end, guys, those who like what I do, please subscribe to my channel. And those who can afford, please support me on the Patreon or buy me a coffee too. That will allow me to continue with my mission, if you wish. So have a nice weekend, guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.